Hello students, good morning all of you. Today I Rabindra Mohan Mishra from Sri Jagdamba Sanskrit College Batho am taking the class of Shastri. First, today we discuss about the grand style of John Milton. John Milton is a great poet who had his deep-rooted philosophical and moral views, but he considered man responsible for his fall. His poetry is characterized by sublimity. Other poets have given us beauty, philosophy, and romance, but none has given us such sublime things as Milton. In Paradise Lost, chooses the biblical theme of the creation, fall, and redemption of man. All the events are arranged around the plucking of the apple. The scene of the action is universal space, and the time is eternity. Another aspect of Milton's style is the extended simile. The use of epic similes goes back to Homer in the Iliad and Odyssey, but Milton uses more similes and with more detail. A Miltonic simile can easily become the subject of an essay, perhaps a book. Milton's similes run a grand from those that seem forced, but in all cases, a critical exploration of the simile reveals depths of unexpected meaning about the objects or persons being compared. Once again, Milton achieves a purpose with his highly involved language and similes. The ability to do this seems almost unique to Milton, a man of immense learning and great poetic ability. Beside extended similes, Milton also traces a number of images throughout the poem. One of the most apparent is the image of the maze or labyrinth. Over and over in the poem, there are mentions of maze, which finally culminate with the serpent confronting Eve. Another images also run throughout the poem as a kind of tour de force of imagination and organization. Each image opens up new possibilities for understanding Milton's ideas. No doubt, particular aspects of Milton's style could be presented at great length, but these are sufficient. Milton intended to write in a grand style. That style took the form of numerous references and allusions, complex vocabulary, complicated grammatical constructions, and extended similes and images. In consciously doing these things, Milton devised a means of giving the written epic the bardic gender of the original recited epic. In so doing, he created an artificial style that very few writers could hope to emulate, emulate though many tried. Milton's style is certainly his own. Elements of it can be criticized, but in terms of his accomplishment in Paradise Lost, it is difficult to see how such a work could be better written in some other style. Milton defined the style of the English epic, and in a real sense, with that style, ended the gender. After Milton and others, it is not possible. In modern time, Milton's style first received general criticism from T.S. Eliot. Eliot praised Milton in a note on the verse of John Milton. Often, people overlook the fact that Eliot did not suggest that Milton was a bad poet. Rather, he suggested that the grand style could lead to bad poetry, particularly by the many who used Milton's style as the paradigm of great English poetry. Lewis, in particular, argued that Milton needed this particular style for a secondary epic. His term for an epic meant to be read rather than the primary epic, which was presented orally in a formal setting and meant to be heard. Levy's basic point was that the grand style provided the formality of setting that the secondary epic, by the nature of its composition, lost. However, the questions about Milton's style cannot be answered by playing a game of bad line versus good line. The answer to the question posed by Eliot and opposed by Lewis and risk is of such a subjective nature that it can never be truly settled. Arguments about Milton's style will persist just as they do about the style of Henry James, James Austen, even James Joyce. Once one man's sublimity is another's conundrum. The first aspect of the grand style that most readers notice is the number of allusions and references, many of which seem obscure, along with the arcane and archaic vocabulary. Beside the references and vocabulary, Milton also tends to use Latinate construction. English is a syntactical language using word order in sentences to produce sense. Latin, in contrast, is an inflected language in which ending on words indicate the word's functions within a sentence, thereby making word order less important. Latin verbs, for example, often come at the end of the sentence, or a direct object may precede the subject. He almost never writes in simple sentences. Partly, this type of inverted, at times syntax is necessary for the poetics to maintain the correct meter, but at other times the old syntax itself seems to be Milton's stylistic goal. Lewis and others who admired the grand style argued that in passages such as this, the precise meaning mattered less than the impressionistic effect that the image of drowsy insensibility and dissolution occurring in order shows the breakdown of a conscious mind. In this case, Adams, as God produces a dream vision for him, certainly this passage, as difficult to understand literally as it is not bad writing. The reader understands what Adam is experiencing. However, in the hands of pleasure talents than Milton, such writing become nonsense. In this way, in short,